We're live.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Guitar Gear Locker. And this is my name is Alex Brooks. This is my co-host Roger Sutherland, and this is our live show number 13, actually. And so, yeah, I guess we're probably going to get into some stuff about this year, and we got a new year approaching, and yeah. So I guess I don't know. We'll start off with some cool products that we've recently seen. One I brought up to Roger the other day, which I played the first version of these guitars a few years back, but I haven't played the new one. So it's it's a new Fender Strat, which they also make a Tele as well. It's the Ultra 2, it's called, and I played the original Ultra Strat. And I thought it was an amazing instrument. So yeah, there you go, the Ultra 2s. So they have a HSS, this, and then you have like the right coils. And that thing I am not familiar with, which I have seen that what is it called?
Which one?
The first one right there.
Oh, the Meteora?
Meteora, yeah.
I think that's been around for not too long, but a while.
Looks kind of like a Jaguar or something like that.
Yeah, it's an offset.
Yeah,
kind of. But
yeah, I mean the Ultra.
Look, we can all get 10% off.
Yeah.
Does it get any better if it's all right? That's the black one. Oh,
I kind of like that a little bit better.
Do you really? I mean, don't.
I mean, the pick guard's a little much, you know. That's a big pick guard.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah, I don't know. It's not really my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do like the Ultra guitars, which I haven't tried the Ultra 2.
Yeah.
From what I understand, they kind of, I think they have a version with like an ebony board. And
we looked at that one. Yeah, was that here yesterday when we were talking about it?
That is the first version, right? That is just the Ultra.
That's rosewood. Let's see. Yeah. I always go like
that's
look at a black one.
That's the one I tried right there, actually.
Is it really?
The maple neck, which I really love maple necks. I love.
Yeah.
Maple. But yeah, I just think it looks like a great.
I think we talked about this a little yesterday. I saw an online commercial or something, and I think like this is their modernized guitar where they I don't know if all or some of them have stainless steel frets, right?
That I don't know. I do know that I think they're like extra rolled, the frets. They're even more smooth than the other ones. But yeah,
I mean, that one right there is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the Telecasters?
I'm down with it. Yeah.
Really?
I love Tellies. Yeah.
That's not bad looking for a Telecaster.
I don't own it. I've never owned a Telecaster, and I need to have one. That's for sure.
Well, you know, I have that one, and it's I never play it. I've only probably played it a couple times because it's more like a family guitar, but has a humbucker right there in the neck. It's kind of cool. It's a I don't know if we've talked about it on the show, but it's a California series. They made them in 97 and 98. So yeah, it's kind of cool. I've never, the one thing that, and I don't know why, but I don't like Telecasters. I guess the traditionalist side of me thinks they should have the traditional kind of ashtray kind of bridge on it.
Yeah.
So, but these are meant to be a more modern spin, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, like for instance, the bridges and I don't know what you would call that, but those flat. It's like it's not. it's not gonna rip your hand open.
Yeah, that's pretty. Well, wait
That's
a minute.
nice.
Let's go. Let's go gold or yellow,
Yeah.
whatever it is. What is it? Solar flare.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool. Well, where's
So
the
maybe,
spec of it? What?
yeah.
I know
I'm
we're
curious. Oh, okay. So neck finish.
jumping.
Let me see. Fret size, medium jumbo.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah,
I could
doesn't sound
swear I
too
saw,
good.
one of the guys from Fender saying that they were, and maybe it's just someone he was talking about. They're medium jumbo, but I mean, this is going to be a deal breaker for some people because they don't really like the noiseless pickups. But
Yeah.
I didn't like. I had a Strat a while ago that had the N3 pickups in it, and I didn't really like those. But the last couple I've had in here, I've actually installed some for people that want them in here. You done with this? And I can shut it down.
Yeah, sure.
Um,
But yeah,
but
I would love to get a hold of one of those guitars because
yeah,
I love Fender Strats, and I think as far as one of the iconic brands in
right,
guitar, Fender has always been pretty consistent.
right, right.
As far as in my experience of making really quality instruments and not too overpriced.
Yeah. You know what would be cool is if they and we talk a lot about like keeping up with, current trends and stuff. It would be cool to see Fender or somebody, and I know Charvel kind of does this. We'll talk about them later too. But it'd be cool to see a Strat with like stainless steel frets in it, which I think they do have one of those, but the more modern spin on it, like maybe a set of Fishmans in it, hum single single with Fishman, something like that. That'd be kind of
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, that would be.
Come out of the box with locking tuners on it and a Vega Trem.
Well,
There you go. Like go all the way.
I mean, since you brought up Charvel, Fender owns Charvel,
Yeah,
so I would assume that Charvel is their, and Jackson is their modern
yeah,
take on guitar. So maybe they want to keep Fender still somewhat traditional,
yeah.
um, and that's why they have Jackson and Charvel to be the hot
Although
rod instruments.
although
Maybe.
the guy I saw talking about this, and it was a Fender rep. I saw it on the internet. It was at the beginning of the week. Almost commercial-ish kind of thing. And he was
Mhm.
talking about like this is our modern take on a classic guitar, stainless steel frets, this, that, and the other, right? I say if you're gonna do it, go all the way. If we're talking about it, I mean, obviously people would be interested in it.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen some custom shops, which I'm pretty sure that they had stainless steel frets on them.
Yeah,
I even saw an interview with John Cruz, who used to be one of the top master builders for Fenders. He's
right,
the last couple of years recently he's on his own now, making his own guitars. But I saw him say that he had made some Fender custom shops with
right.
the stainless steel frets because the customer wanted it,
Yeah.
obviously, and he just said that he wasn't a big fan of them. Like he said they were a pain in the ass to install, and
Yeah, they are.
which I've heard about that. Obviously,
Yeah,
the material it's just not
yeah,
as easy to work with. Um, but I've said it a bunch of times. I'm a big fan of the stainless steel frets. I think
yeah,
they're
yeah.
awesome and they feel real smooth, and I think they give a little bit more bite, maybe to tone, but
Mhm.
add a little bit, maybe a little bit more brightness,
Right,
maybe.
right.
Uh, I don't know. What do you think about
Oh,
that?
here we go. So, it's funny because people, I mean, they probably sit
Oh,
here and watch us talk. It's so
yeah.
much harder when
Yeah.
you're in here trying to think on your toes. If you're the guy in the back of the class and you can always have the answer up, I'm glad somebody did it because that's
Yeah.
it. That's what I was
I
trying to
forgot about
tell.
that. The ultra. Yeah, yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
about that. guitar.
Yeah.
I have seen them. But I wasn't aware it was stainless steel, but I do remember. It's like a Floyd on it, I think, those guitars.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Talk for a second. I'll look it up.
Yeah. But yeah, it looks like a great instrument, you know. So, and I love Strats. Anybody that usually, if there's anybody that follows my music, they know. Usually, they see me with a V, but I love Strat body guitars and played them for a while live. So hopefully, I bring some out again.
All right, let me hit my.
I wonder if that guitar you're looking for, though, if that's still in production.
Which one's that?
The Ultra.
Yeah, it's on Sweetwater.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that is a good looking guitar. I think this may be the one that I was talking about. We don't want to see the case. Yeah, and a silver burst too. Cool.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that looks good. Now that's where you and I are a little different. You like maple fretboards. I'm not big on them, but especially if they're unfinished, I'm okay. But when they get, especially the high gloss ones, good grief! I feel like
from what
you can't move on them.
I mean, from what I understand, they say that the maple sometimes it moves more than a guitar that has an ebony board or something on that. It makes it a little bit more stable.
I think it does give it a little bit. Well, it brightens it up a bit, I think, and you add stainless steel frets on top of that.
Yeah,
it has a good sound to it, I think.
Yeah,
that's a cool guitar. Both of those are cool, and it's funny because I mean, it's almost like seeing, well, you get a red car and then that's all you see is red cars. And I think since you and I talked about it, that's all I've seen is American Ultras.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good guitar though. I like it.
Yeah.
What do you have next?
Oh, I don't know.
I didn't know if you wanted to hit your list first, or we'll bounce back and forth. We have a list again. If anybody wants to kick in, and thanks Frank Martin for helping us out with that. If anybody has an inkling of an idea of what Santa's bringing them that could be a guitar, or what they asked Santa for, you could kick that in the comments. Anybody, like all three of you?
Yeah, ask for a guitar.
So I have to tell you, if you open a guitar business, you completely ruin that line of gift giving for your entire family. I've destroyed it for my wife because she's like, if I buy something, well, I don't want much at this point, guitar related, but if I need to buy something, it's like, well, you could buy strings, or you could buy this, or you could. I have all that set behind me now, so I've ruined the whole guitar gift idea for my family, and I think it's almost like reaching the end of the internet. I think I've reached the age where I kind of can't even think of anything. But so, what do you want guitar related?
That Fender Strat.
Fender.
Yeah,
you send him a Strat, please.
I don't foresee any new guitars for a little while, at least.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I actually did get a Fender Strat for Christmas a few years back.
Yeah,
my wife surprised me with. And,
yeah,
and she got me two guitars. My favorite guitar that I own, which is ESP Eclipse, that has an Evertune in it. She surprised me with that. That was like, I was totally blown away by that. And actually ESP worked with her on that whole thing too, which was cool. They even did a little write up on their website, about her surprising me with that guitar and all.
Yeah.
But
anything guitar related this year on your list?
Well, I do got to hit up my Sweetwater rep because I need my wireless is broken. I attachment to it is like stripped, you know. So
Oh,
I need that for my
you
next tour, you
you
know,
better
or I'm gonna,
go on and call him.
yeah, I'm gonna, no, he's good. He's good.
Yeah. You know,
He's
and
good.
I gotta tell you, we'll make this a little Sweetwater commercial. Man, I've dealt with them. Like, there's been a couple customers that have come in and said, "Hey, I need this, that, and the other." And one was on a lap steel, and I can I can install a pickup in it, but I didn't know which one was best for a lap steel. So I reached out to them. They were, and I reached out to them a couple times. It's like, all right, I could sit and research it, or I can ask those guys. They're pros,
They're
and
great.
they've
I
been
think
great to deal with.
they
So
probably have the best customer service I've experienced.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
I think like when you're a small dealer like me, not necessarily for Sweetwater, but and doing guitar stuff, they help you out. It's like an extra little asset for you, you know.
Yeah.
So one thing I had was and I guess every channel's talking about it. So just so you know, when I launch these screens, I can't see you anymore. So let me hit presentation mode. So the Reverb's list of the best selling guitars for this past year. I was actually kind of surprised, and it's funny we were just kind of talking about this. So the Fender Player Telecaster.
Wow. Huh. I'm surprised that it's a Telly because
I know.
it'd be like a Strat or like a Gibson or something like that. So
Yeah,
that's in,
I was pretty surprised, but I think, especially, I mean, look around at some of the younger people that are outperforming. A lot of them are starting to use Telecasters again.
and I
Um,
see the ESP that's down there, the LTD Eclipse, which I know that's probably their best selling guitar that they
oh, where? Right
yeah,
here? Yeah,
yeah.
pretty
I think that
low.
that's been their best selling guitar for a lot of years, I'm pretty
That's a
sure.
that's a great looking guitar too.
And
You
that's,
know,
bang for your buck too. It's
yeah,
like, oh, what's that guitar right there? $949. I mean, that's worth every penny, you know.
Penswaken. Um, what's weird is I I know this is what Reverb, they keep, I'm sure, flawless statistics on what they sell and what moves in that place, but it's definitely not representative of what I see coming through here. I see a lot of LTDs come through here,
Mhm.
ESPs, LTDs, things like that. I do see Telecasters, but seems like I'm seeing more of the LTDs, ESPs, still a lot of Gibsons, of course. Um, so yeah, that's
That
odd
is,
that they were that low, is I guess what I was getting at.
yeah, I'm really surprised though about the Telly. That's
Here's the PRS.
PR.
You know what?
Yeah.
I If we can talk about that for just a
You know,
second.
I have not played one of those guitars, their take on the Strat, and I know PRS, makes some of the best guitars there is,
Uh-huh.
but it's the way that thing looks, it just, I don't know, that headstock on it, it just, I don't know. I bet you it plays amazing. I guarantee it's a great guitar.
You know,
Those
it's funny that so I had one of those in here this week, and I've had a couple of them in, but this one was a SE that came in, and I was actually pretty surprised. It sounded very good.
mm,
It played good. Um, I was pleasantly surprised. Now, that there were some things that we did to it. Some I wouldn't say they're trickety set up, but whoever he had gotten this guitar from, so John Mayer decks his bridge. He keeps, it flat down to the
yeah,
bridge with the springs pretty tight. So I
mhm,
floated this bridge for him just a little bit. And it actually stayed in tune really well. I played it for a little bit. I think it was night
mm,
before last. Stayed in tune really well. It sounded really good.
mm.
So and then I started looking more into the list. I was like, okay, I'm not so surprised. that
So what
they
what do you think about that headstock though on that guitar? I just find it just does not look right, because you got like a Strat shaped body with that, you know,
it
headstock.
yeah, I think because I think for me, it's because my eyes are used to seeing a Strat body with a different headstock on it, but I have the same issue when you see the Ibanez style or especially the Music Man style, like Strat
Yeah,
style.
yeah.
When you throw a different headstock on something that you're used to seeing, like that 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 guitar shape's pretty iconic, and I think when you throw a different headstock on it, it just kind of tricks your eyes a little bit, you know?
Like even the EVH, the weird headstock. Like
Mhm.
it's just, and I've played some of those guitars, and they're really great guitars.
Yeah.
Um, it's just the way, I don't know, the way it looks. And even though obviously the most important thing is the feel of the guitar and the tone of
Yeah.
the guitar,
Yeah.
but the way a guitar looks is also inspiring too. Picking up
Right.
the instrument, I think, and
Yeah.
like I don't
Yeah,
know,
and
just
we've talked before, like, half the battle is, that I think the first thing the guitar has to make it past your eyes, and then the neck has to feel good, and then the
yeah,
rest is downhill after that.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
it's not surprising looking down the list, it's not surprising to me that, you have the guess it's funny how the Gibson Les Paul standards are just get to be like you used to see a studio. They're getting to be so plentiful, but it's not surprising that the 60s is, just one ahead of the 50s. I think the
yeah.
50s neck is I'm not a big fan. But then you have the John Mayer Silver Sky, then you move down to I've had one of these in here. These are pretty solid. The David Grissom's.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
it's interesting that, and I don't know if it's because of the cost, but like the PRS SEs are like super hot sellers, it seems.
Hmm.
Les Paul
See,
Classic.
Fender's like pretty dominating on that list, though,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it shows,
and
well,
PRS
they're
too.
iconic.
You know,
Yeah, they're very iconic. It's surprising to me to see the stand or the SG that low and ESP that low.
yeah.
So then you have a
Well,
Squire.
still, Fender and Gibson pretty much dominate the market. I would assume.
Yeah, yeah. And you know
But
what? I see a fair share of especially old Squires. Old Squires are actually pretty cool, I
we
think.
know, um, one of my oldest friends, Chris. Him and his brother Eric is a bass player. Both Chris is an amazing guitar player, Eric amazing bass player, and so I remember this in like 1987 or something. I'm assuming it was probably 87.
Uh-huh.
He had it was a Fender Squire bass, and man, the bass was really well made. But I'm pretty sure back then that might have been made in Japan or something like that.
Right.
I mean, I don't think Squires are made in Japan anymore. They're probably made in China or some shit
Right.
like that.
Right.
I'm assuming I could be wrong, but
Well, I tell you,
hard to say, you know.
there's two sleeper guitars out there. Like if you're trolling Craigslist, and I'm sure they're not they're just sleepers to me because I guess I'm surprised when I see them come through. So the older Epiphone that has the profile cover says Gibson, so the Gibson Epiphone Les Paul, man, every one of those I've seen has been really good.
I
And
had an
they're
Epiphone.
affordable. They're super.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had one. It was this was a long time ago, but
like in the
it was
80s, right?
no, the one I had was I don't know when it was made, but I got the guitar maybe in 2001,
Right,
2002,
right,
like that. I actually traded it towards a Gibson
right.
SG, but it was a solid guitar.
I tell you, I've seen like one of the best Les Pauls that I've seen come through since I've been open. I'm like 5 years now. It was a Gibson Epiphone Les Paul, and really good guitar, super solid.
That
And
doesn't say a lot for Gibson USA, does it?
no, it doesn't. Well, and it's the older guitars overall. And the older Squiers are really good too. Some of the newer ones, like the Classic 5s, are pretty good. I told you about that one that we had in here.
Yeah, yeah.
We talked about that before, but
Mhm.
yeah, so that's the list. Everybody's talking about it this week. I just kind of think it's interesting. I figured ESP would be better represented. The Schecters are actually really good nowadays. They weren't even on the list.
Yeah. ESP has got some guitars that came out. I think they came out this year, or maybe the year before.
Yeah.
I can actually look at. There is a couple that I really like, that I have to get eventually.
Yeah.
But it's actually an LTD. Like the LTDs, I have to say, they didn't put out any E2s for 2024. I know that this is like the first year
Really?
of
For
the
the whole year?
hopefully
Wow.
hopefully this coming up they'll have some new E2s. But there
Right.
is the it's a series called the 87 series.
Uh-huh.
So in 1987, that's when ESP really like put out their official, I guess, guitar line, like
Mhm.
standard
Mhm.
guitars. And if anybody knows the history of ESP originally started off as a parts company in the 70s. And they started making, they actually even, a lot of people probably don't even know, like Kramer, a lot of those killer Kramers that were made in
Right.
the 80s were actually ESPs. They were made,
Uh-huh.
he made those guitars. But
Right.
so they have a series called the 87 series, which is based on those classic guitars. So they put out, um, which was like the M series guitar,
Uh-huh.
and they put this out first, and they put out actually a Telly a version of a Telly, which they still sell. And
Right.
and that was called the Eclipse then,
Right.
or the LP shape Eclipse, and they changed the name.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure it came out this year. Is the ESP LTD Horizon Custom 87. So
Mm.
it's based on the 1987 ESPs that they made,
Right.
and it's I'm pretty sure it's a mahogany body or alder body with neck through body, maple neck
Yep.
with the ebony, how do you say Madagascar ebony?
Madagascar. Uh-huh.
You know,
Yep.
and there's no inlays on it, which is cool, and it's
Right.
reverse headstock, single coil humbucker, which I love that combination.
Mhm.
And those volume, tone, three-way toggle switch, and yeah, I got to get one of these. Tony can maybe hit you up next year.
You're ropes up through the through
Watching.
YouTube. Wait a minute, what is it called? So, you
It's
wanna share it
it's
out?
LTD Custom 87. So they have it in white, red, and black, and they all look really sharp. And I love Horizons. I think they're
Who
amazing guitars.
Alright, who do we wanna do? Well,
Yeah, but you can find it. It's
yeah, I have it. Hold on.
yeah.
Coming at you.
Uh,
It
that
takes me a
that
second.
yeah that guitar really caught my eye. I was really happy actually to see that they're making those again. Um,
Ta-da! That?
yeah, there you go. So that's the red one, and
Yeah.
yeah, that just looks
Oh,
like
you probably wanted this guy. Right?
yeah. It's funny because my wife says no more black guitars. So
Yeah.
I got so many
What does
black
she like?
guitars. I like white a lot actually. I like
Really?
white guitars, a lot.
Yeah. That
Um,
looks good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The white
You
looks
know
cool.
you know what that was? You probably guess I'm gonna say this. That needs white titanium in it. That would look cool.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that would look really good. Maybe too much white? Maybe not. The white
Mhm.
titanium looks really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool looking guitar. So that's your next? That's affordable
Yeah.
too, man. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's I don't know.
Look, and
That's
and here's this dude, you could ask an expert. Like, You could see that, right? Yeah. So that dude, you could ask that expert, and I'm sure that expert would give you a nice discount. Like, no matter who you are. I mean, that he looks like a friendly guy. Just ask that
I'm
expert.
actually, while we're at it, let me look at the
Are you
ESP
gonna
site.
ask the expert?
Yeah,
Look down here. I'll hit, questions or feedback. I'll type a
there he
question.
is. That's the
Can
expert.
can
Huh?
Alex have a guitar, Mr.
Yes, please.
Expert,
I need for free.
for free? Oh, for
Yeah,
free? You
gotta be
don't want
fun, man. Okay, so
he'll give
yeah,
you
new for 2024 ESPs. So, and there was actually another one um that it's funny because the first guy that sent me, and I think you did too, maybe you saw this guitar, and Spencer from Full of Hell actually texted me one day and he was like, check this out.
yeah,
And he's like, this has got your name written all over it. And
yeah,
so it's the EC, um, it's an EC01F2. So it's like an Eclipse body. So it's kind
right,
of like, it looks like it's like a take on Gibson Les Paul Jr.
yeah,
And except it's got like a thicker body than the normal Eclipses, and it's string through
right,
body and humbucker. I think it's a Seymour Duncan. I think it's like a hot Seymour Duncan humbucker.
yeah,
Um, and it's got like block inlays, and so I like that. It's not the most metal looking guitar. It's not nothing metal about it really looking.
yeah.
It's like
The one that we're just the Horizon?
the EC01F2. It's like an
Oh,
Eclipse.
hold on. ECI.
Yeah, that's one that Spencer actually he texted me
Oh, I
about.
thought we were still talking about this. EC101. Hold on.
Yeah, that one is cool. There's two different versions. There's like the cheaper version, and then I guess the more high end version's like 1,000 something.
All right, say
Um,
it's all right, it's a ESP?
yes, it's an LTD.
LTD. And
LTD.
say the words again.
Uh,
All right,
it is
the numbers.
hold on. EC
Uh-huh.
01T.
Oh, 01FT.
Yeah,
Ooh, okay. Yeah,
yeah.
that's why I didn't know it. All right, hold on. What I'm trying to
And I like the Sunburst version. That one looks really cool.
I think that's the one I
Even,
chose.
yeah,
Hold on. Let me share it up. So we have 4 people watching. I hope we're
yeah,
not boring them to death with our
yeah.
geekiness here.
Damn
So hold
nerds.
on. Yeah, they're like, what the hell are they even talking
Oh,
about?
vintage burst. That guitar looks really sharp. I like that.
Yeah, we'll see if that's the one I
Yeah,
chose up here. That?
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Wow, that looks like an
yeah,
old guitar. That's cool.
yeah. And
Wow.
the set in neck, and
Yeah, one
yeah,
humbucker. Nice. That's cool, man.
yeah.
So which one's
I,
your next one? This one or the other one?
I don't know. They're all there. They're all up there. And there's
Oh,
let's see what. Oh, there's another one that's really cool too. That and it's a baritone
yeah.
LTD, and it's called the SN-1-HT Barritone. And that guitar really sharp. It's got a roasted maple neck, bolt on,
Teaches
and
with it. He said that's beautiful.
yeah,
Cool. All right.
and
All right. So say that again. So I can't
so that,
when I'm doing the comments, I can't type in. All right, go ahead.
yeah, so it's SN-1-HT
SS1.
Baritone, and this guitar looks really sharp, and it's a roasted neck on there too.
Oh, I'm gonna I think I have the right one. We'll find out here in a second. Is it sure? Man, they should make this StreamYard, if you're watching this, make this shit easier, man. This is a pain in the ass. That guy?
No, that's not it. No. No,
Fail.
it's an SN-1-HT
Yeah,
Barritone.
that's what I did.
Yeah, that's not it. No, I know that model. That's an older
SN-1 Bar. Okay, wait a minute. No. You're right. I selected the wrong one. All right, I'll get it straight here in a second. Let me get past all my get 50% off. Yeah, they definitely need to make the sharing screen shit a little bit simpler. There's a lot of clicking. You hear me back here clicking?
Yeah.
It's like,
So that's it.
man, it's like taking a friggin' karate lesson back here, clicking.
Yeah. So I like that one too. I like the specs on it. It's got
that is cool.
The hip shot bridge.
Yeah.
Modern, Fluence pickup humbucker.
Yeah.
And it's a roasted neck on there.
Oh, that has Purple Heart.
Yeah.
2 stripes of Purple Heart in it.
Yep. And yeah, that guitar
is
really
that's
sharp.
When I first saw it,
I like that. I really like that. And,
would you do a baritone? Do you like baritone guitars?
I'd like to try one because for my band Ruinous, we tuned down the A. And
that'd be perfect.
Yeah. So I've never owned a baritone guitar, but I think it's about time that I get one, especially tuned down.
I've had quite a few in here. I have one coming in tomorrow that that Snakebite is coming in tomorrow. We converted it to a baritone. So we're gonna do some more stuff to that tomorrow. But the one from Breaking Benjamin, his signature comes in periodically for a setup. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
All my guitars.
So there were some of the guitars that stuck out to me.
That's on your list. I don't know. You know what? It's funny because every once in a while, a headless. I like Kiesels. I've talked about that before. I like Kiesels a lot. I think I had one. It was a tele body, but it was a way modern take on it wasn't a Telecaster by no means. Looked a little bit like one. But I every once in a while I'll go through a phase. This had a crackle finish on it. Guitar Center had it. And I kind of tested something out. What is up with this phone every time it's like we hit an ignore. She's pretty good at when she knows we're recording. She's pretty good at jumping on it. It's my mom. Well, last week was too. So this must be the time.
She's watching. That's what she's calling. She's like, oh.
No. I don't. What was I talking about? The headless Kiesel. Yeah, so Kiesel. I saw when it was a crackle finish and it was kind of cool. I don't know why I like it, but it kind of stuck out. So I put it in my cart, and yesterday Guitar Center called me. I didn't answer though. I didn't want to buy a guitar.
Yeah.
Put it in my cart, and they called. They were like, "Hey, don't know if you had any questions or if you were looking for a deal." And I was like, of course, my wife, when she heard me say that, she said, "No, you're not looking for a deal or anything." Jane was like, "No more guitars right now. You're on hiatus."
I don't have any. I don't think I've ever played one of those guitars.
Yeah, you know what? That I like Kiesels. They're really good. They're really well made. I know a lot of people don't like the owner. I don't care who the owner is. I pay no attention to him. I just like the guitars. But another one I have my eye on is the Music Man Kaizen, Tosin Abasi. And it's weird because it's a super odd shape, but I have a bum shoulder, so I'm always looking for something that feels comfortable with that, and that body looks like it could be comfortable with you kind of have shoulder issues. But I'd have to go try it out.
many strings are on there? Because doesn't he play
You can
like
get you can get 6 or 7. They
Oh,
have a
okay.
6 and a 7. This year, they just came out with the 6-string version of it. I think it was this year or last year, but before that, it was only 7.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm kinda toying around with it. I'm not making any moves anytime soon. Like I said, I'm on hiatus from, buying guitar. So, we have, an update on I can update everybody on last week's show, which it was a lot of fun having Adam on.
Oh, yeah.
I talked
Yeah.
to Adam a couple times this week, and it was fun. So and he's gonna be on again. I think the cool part of that interview, and we always talk about I always talk about how cool the part of the show is that isn't the show, like, after we stop and we just start BSing afterwards, and last week's show with Adam kinda turned into that, and when I talked to Adam, he goes, it's cool, you gotta get the business out of the way and all that kinda stuff, and that's fun, but he said, "I just like nerding out and talking about it." I think he had more fun at the end when we were just talking about guitars and gear and stuff,
Mhm. Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what he wanted to do, so he wants to be on again, and we're gonna do that again, and maybe we'll have him on with some other people with one of our little roundtable discussions, but anyways, the reason I brought him up, it was great having him on, but it was so funny when he was off screen getting the Phil Collins double neck guitar, and I mentioned
Oh, yeah.
that Carlo Robelli, and that voice goes, "Who has a Carlo Robelli?" And he comes on, he bought that guitar. So, the
Yeah,
next
yeah.
day,
Great.
he was calling me first thing in the morning, and, we talked about it, I sent him a picture of it, and he said, "Go get it." So and it was, 10 minutes from my house, so I ran down and got it, so we'll have that this weekend probably, actually, my brother's coming through here, so he's gonna take it out back up to that area where they live, so, that was kinda that's the ending to that story. It was kinda funny. He likes it, can't wait to see it. It is super heavy and it is I weighed it the other day because I was curious, and we also, kind of,
It's a
my
SG,
brother
right? Is
excuse
it
me?
SG? Is it
SG.
SG? Yeah,
Yep, it's
yeah,
an
yeah.
SG. What did I was it 37.2 or 32.7? One or the other. It's
Yeah,
pretty heavy.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then my brother and I were trying to figure out the dimensions to make sure it's gonna fit in his car. It's
Yeah,
big
yeah.
and the hard case and everything. So that's kind of the ending to that story. It's kind of funny how it happened and went down, but you can't wait to get it. He kind of gave me the story, and he said it a little last week. They were built in that factory, and he the part I didn't understand until he explained it is, that was a store up there, and, you could have this factory make a guitar with your store's name on it. So, and the person I got it if you remember, person I said it last week, the person that I got it from said that, it was a friend of his in Connecticut, so they were up that way somewhere. So, that found a new home, and he'll have that this weekend. It's in good shape. It's big, but it's cool. Um,
Yeah,
that's the ending to that story. But I'm just kind of going over my list if you're good. So the times there's top 10 songs.
top 10 songs.
Not top 10 songs, top 10 albums of the year
Oh,
for 2024. Top 10
I
songs.
you know, I
The
think
top 10 dance
I
songs of the year.
yeah, I think I was mentioning to you before we got on was, I very like, there's not too many new albums that come out that I like, and it's not like in particularly any record where I was just like, "Oh my god, this is just, the most amazing thing I ever heard." It's been a long time since I could say that.
Yeah,
It's been really a long time, but,
yeah,
there was more. I didn't realize that there was more records that came out this year that I checked out.
right.
Uh, so, obviously, probably my favorite is probably the Judas Priest record. Um,
Uh-huh.
it's, what is it called? Invincible, Shield, and, yeah, it's just I mean, it's, you know, hearing a band that those guys are, well, Rob Halford and Ian Hill are both in their 70s, and,
Right.
it's just wow, such a good record. I was really blown away. I mean, the one they did before that, I really like because I mean, Judas Priest is one of my all-time favorite bands, but I honestly haven't liked a Judas Priest record since 1984.
Right.
So
Wow.
yeah, the Defenders of the Faith was the last record that I liked, and that's not even in my top Priest records. Is that that's my more of 70s Priest stuff, but yeah. So I don't know. It's a really great album. The production's phenomenal too. It's
Right.
just unbelievable. Guitar work, new guitar player Richie Faulkner.
Right.
Really, he's probably one of. It's funny we were talking about guitar heroes with Adam, and he's one of the younger guys that I don't feel he's doing anything. He's not bringing anything new to the table, but he's a great player, really tasteful guitar player, great songwriter, great solo player, great performer. So he's definitely one of the guys that
Yeah.
newer guys that I like. And he's a young guy too.
Right.
He's in his early 40s. I probably got 10 years on the guy. And so yeah, so I like that. My friend's Blood Incantation, their record, it's Absolute Elsewhere or something.
Absolute Elsewhere, and that's what I was getting at. So I couldn't believe it when I heard it the other day.
Yeah, it's
Number 7 on Time Magazine's Album of the Year.
Crazy. Yeah.
For all music.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, to think of how far extreme metal has come. But the record, I originally, those guys gave me the pre-production, the demos that they had of the album first, and even then that was like a while ago now. It was maybe like a year and a half ago or something, but over a year ago maybe. And I heard that, and I was like, wow, this is like Morbid Angel meets Pink Floyd, Animals, or something.
Yeah.
It's like totally up, Pink Floyd being, one of my all-time bands, and that kind of style, that progressive kind of psychedelic influences in there, and it really mixes, like, it's done well where, it's hard, when you're extreme metal, death metal, black metal, whatever, to kind of mix in that kind of stuff. It's a hard thing to do, and to make it work, and they did, and the album's really amazing.
Yeah.
And the production, I think that was one of yours too that you really liked.
Oh yeah. That's mine. And my New Year's resolution is going to be to sit down and actually listen to albums. I listen to a lot of music, but I think that's where you and I are a little different, where you sit down and you'll listen to an entire album. I did with Absolute Elsewhere. I listened to that. I've listened to it several times. I listened to it a lot actually, and I like it a lot. But that's what I need to. I want to focus more on that after the new year. Is actually picking out an album and just listening to it through, like I did when I was a kid. I think I have attention deficit disorder now that I'm older.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead with your list.
There's I don't know. I mean, there's quite a few of them. I really liked Full Hell's new record.
Yeah.
They're always putting out great stuff. And the new Deceased, I really like that. Well, let me see what else. What did I have on here? I actually had Opeth on there, which is kind of what, I feel Blood Incantation is kind of like taking that kind of thing where Opeth has got the progressive 70s style stuff mixed in with, extreme metal or whatever. But I like a couple of the records. I wouldn't call myself like a big fan or anything, but there's like two of the records I really liked. And the newest one, I dig that as well. You might want to check that out, Roger. I think you might appreciate that if you like the Blood Incantation.
Oh yeah.
What else did I have? The new David Gilmour is pretty cool. the Michael Schenker playing old UFO songs. I know some of my friends that are big Michael Schenker and UFO fans weren't too into the re-recordings of their songs, but I enjoyed it. This band right here, the Obsessed from Maryland, actually originally. I dig the new Obsessed. I thought that was really good.
Right.
Might be the best album. The guy, as far as for the Obsessed, the main guy is this guy I know, and done multiple projects, but if anybody's familiar with his work, but I really think this record is really good. Probably best for the Obsessed, in my opinion, at least.
Right.
Which is more, Obsessed is more kind of like Black Sabbath kind of style, hard rock, 70s heavy hard rock,
Right.
Another band is one of the new wave British heavy metal bands called Satan, and the album is called Songs in Crimson. Really like the Satan record. I enjoyed the new Municipal Waste, which is kind of like very old school. This album compared to some of their other stuff I've heard. It brings me back to like 1986 crossover kind of thrash punk, kind of vibe.
Yeah. Oh, that's gotta be cool.
Oh, another progressive death metal, which is Nocturnus AD, which we had Mike Browning on as one of our guests. That record is super good, really good.
Yeah.
That album. What else did I have here? Speaking of Blood Incantation, their other band, Paul and Jeff and Mars's other band called Spectral Voice, which is super heavy, dark, atmospheric death metal. That's a really good album.
Right.
Let's see. Pentagram. They had to change their name to Pentagram Chile because of the other Pentagram, Maryland, actually. But they're a band from Chile that I've been into since the 80s, since their demos.
Yeah, they have to move on that with their name. Maryland guys got to keep their name. They come.
Yeah. There's some of the records I enjoyed. I think I named them all.
Hold on, you're getting some help here. Let me throw in a couple. His album of the year is now the Honorable Waits.
I've never heard.
Oh, we can look it up. Yeah. Not now, but we can. I come back and look at the comments so I can look at these things. And
I'll be honest with you, I have never ever listened to a Nile record in my entire life. So sorry to disappoint you.
Whoa, that's saying something. You're like an encyclopedia.
Yeah, I've never listened to one of the records.
Well, we have another one here. John
Savage. Okay.
Yeah. There you go. You brought up Spencer a couple times.
That was my friend John Verka.
Yeah, John. Yeah, I recognize the name. And John, we talk about you off of the.
We do actually.
Always good stuff.
Yes.
Always good stories. I hear about you. I feel like I know you. You brought up Spencer a couple times. We got to get a hold of him. We need to wind him a
P90. We got to get him on like a
P90.
On the Corrosion.
Yeah.
My other buddies from Philly,
Yeah, Philly's tonight, right?
Yeah. So but yeah, there's some of the records I like. How about you? Anything stick out to you? I'm honored. Thank you. Of course, the honor's all here, buddy.
And it's great hearing the stories.
Yeah. Anything that sticks out for you, Roger? Or?
Oh, well, you know me. I'm just kind of I like. I've done a lot of listening to everybody you just mentioned, and I've listened to stuff that I probably wouldn't otherwise listen to before we started this channel, because every time we had a guest on, I was exposed to something new, because I'd have to go out and listen to their stuff and get to know it, which was cool. So we've heard a lot of stuff. I've liked everybody I've heard. But then there's other stuff I listen to that it's mostly mainstream stuff out there. And I like I've told you about a band called Dorothy, I think is real good.
You did.
Let's see. Who is that? God, I have a shitty memory. who is it that I talk about? They just did something with Lizzie Hale's good. Hailstorm.
Hmm.
She just did something with I Prevail. So that was pretty good. There's a lot of
She,
good bands, but like we've talked, a lot of the bands that I'm listening to, the mainstream bands are bands that remind me of old stuff. Dirty Honey, the new one from Dirty Honey is okay. I like that a little bit, not as much as their last album, but stuff like that. There's a lot of just new stuff. I don't even know who sings it that I listen to. I'm just always listening. Let's see. I Miss Nocturnus AD release.
definitely check that out. Great album.
Yeah, but it's been, I mean, because when we started, especially after you and I met, I started listening to heavier metal. I've always listened to metal, but the heavier, darker stuff when you and I met a little bit, and then especially with this channel, like you really have to know who you're talking to every week, and
Sure.
it's been good. It's been a good experience, and I've gotten to listen to a lot of good stuff. Sanhedrin is good. I've listened to them a lot this year.
Yeah,
But you know what?
last year.
Sanhedrin. So you hear me say it. So I like if I'm gonna sit and listen to an album, I'm either cutting grass on a lawnmower or I'm in a gym. So Sanhedrin and Municipal Waste were they for a while there. They got to be my go-tos in the gym or while out doing yard work and stuff like that. If I'm in here, usually that's kind of like I said, I listen to like albums when I'm doing that. If I'm in here, I just have like background radio-ish stuff going, Sirius radio or something like that. Let me catch up on a couple of these. We have it high down. We have them talking in the comments a little bit. I think I got that one. Cheech. It's a good one. I'll just blow these out. That's cool. It's cool to see everybody kind of interacting over there.
Yeah.
It's cool. We never know. So you never know what that means. We're just boring and they can just like feel free to talk amongst yourselves. I think it's cool though.
Oh, and another release. It's not really well, it is music related, but little shameless promotion on my end. But one of the bands, Immolation, there's a book that's come out written about the band's history. Now it's hard to get 36 years. Was it 36? Yeah, 36 years now, right? 36 years. So 36 years of the band's existence in a 400 and something page book. But I thought it's done pretty well. I still haven't really gotten through it all. But, it's a little bit of my story in there too from the early days with the band. Going back to 1988.
Right.
And it brings it up to date, to now.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, aren't you going to hold it up?
Yeah. So here's the book.
Yeah.
The cover was done by Andreas Marshall, who did the first 4 albums, maybe. He did the artwork. So I think it was cool that he did the art.
Yeah.
I
was going to say,
is the lineup of the band now and the original lineup. The lineup now, that's me, that's Ross, there's Steve, there's Bob, and the lineup now, I should say. And the original lineup, I think I can't see right here. That's Neil Baumbach. That's Tom Wilkinson, Ross, and Bob. So, and the first demo, 1988 demo, which was my introduction to Immolation, getting that demo from Bob actually and interviewing him for my fanzine back then. But you see, there's some cool, I don't know, colored photos, and there's a lot of cool photos, even some photos that I haven't seen in 30-something years, probably.
Hey, Alex, where can you get the book? And I'm also going to put a link in the description.
So yeah, you can get the book from Decibel Magazine. It's through Decibel Books.
Yeah,
see that right there. And the book is $35.95. And the book was actually written by our super close friend of ours, Kevin Stewart Pankow. And Kevin, you've probably seen him if you've seen us in the US on tour. Kevin's usually our merch guy. He's always with us, usually in the States.
Right.
So Roger, I believe you probably met Kevin briefly too. And Kevin he's besides going out on the road with bands, which he loves to do, he's a writer. He's written for many magazines over the past 30-something years, and he's got a few books on his belt as well. And and so my kudos to Kevin, who's done such an amazing job in such a short period of time, and also to Albert of Decibel Magazine, who's been a champion for us for quite a long time now. And he's done so much for us, and can't thank him enough. And but yeah, it's really they really did a great job, I thought, of the book. And it really,
you talk about making it like an achievement is being a band long enough to have a book written about you. That's awesome.
Yeah, and mainly the story is about Bob and Ross, who kept this thing going since 1988. And they've stopped, and it's a really good story, I think, and it's about their integrity. It's just about the music, and all the struggles they went through. It was never about becoming some big rock star or anything like that. It was always about the music. And fortunately now, the band's, most popular the band has been is now, but it took a long time to get to that point, So it's a really inspiring story. There's no like crazy, you're not going to like read like a Motley Crue book or something like that. There's nothing really insane in there, like that. So, because we're all pretty mellow. Anybody that knows us will.
So this is sort of like a chronological story of the band.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like the wild, crazy parties and stuff like that. It's just story of the band and the music.
Yeah. Even pre-Immolation, which was the band Rigor Mortis, which actually that's how the story starts for me, was because I was a fan of Rigor Mortis, and I had the demo, and I used to be converse with the singer bass player of Rigor Mortis, Andrew Sack. And that's kind of how Immolation came on the radar, because I found out Rigor Mortis had split up, and two of the guys from Immolation, or from Rigor Mortis, started this new band called Immolation. That's how I got their first demo. Maybe in a few months of being a newly formed band, I got a hold of their demo. We just became friends, and obviously, the rest is history. But so it's a really well done book, and so if you're a fan, to be a fan, if you just want to read something cool about the band, the struggles, and and just kind of keeping it together through all the ups and downs.
We're always talking about inspiring bands and songwriters and musicians and all that. I mean, you probably don't get much more inspiration out of things than you would reading that book, and the history, and how they've come through the ranks and things like that. That would be a good thing for anybody to read and experience, I think.
Yeah. And for me, it's always been about the music. It's never been about anything else. And I think that's, this book really gets into that, the integrity behind the band.
Yeah. And I met them, and they were all extremely gracious and great guys to meet. I can't wait to read the book, and I'll put the link in the description so people can find that. I can't wait to read it. Cheech, Alex, do you and Bob have a similar arsenal of guitars?
Bob's got some great guitars. I think I got him beat as far as more guitars, but he's got some really good ones that he hasn't brought out, even some killer ESPs that he hasn't really played much that he should bring out. But he's got one guitar that I always tell him, if you're gonna sell that guitar, you sell that guitar to me. And he has a because I remember when he first got the guitar, it's a Jackson soloist. He got that guitar, I guess, in '91 when they got signed to Roadrunner, and they
Right.
got their advance, and he got that guitar. I remember, and
Right.
that guitar, was recorded a lot of albums, and
Right.
that's one guitar
Well,
I'm jealous.
and we
You
can, speaking of
he wants,
Bob's guitars, we can extend him the same invitation that we gave to Jeremy a couple of weeks ago. We told him,
yeah.
if he ever comes down to visit you, we can have a guitar spa day.
Well, we will.
Work on guitars, upgrade guitars, and all that.
Well, when he comes down to work on the new album with me, then we'll bring some of his guitars over to you to fix up.
Yeah. I'll just hand you all the guitars. You all just keep writing and playing, and I'll keep tuning the guitars and shooting them back to you.
Yeah.
Although, as I understand it, Bob's not as well. Not as I understand it. I witnessed it. He's not as geeky as we are about guitars.
No, not at all.
I actually think he laughed at us.
I'm the one that usually
club.
beats him all the time. Like I'll grab one of his guitars. I'm like, how do you play this thing? Why this thing? You need to do this to it. You need to do that. This thing's a mess. And he's just like, whatever,
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's cool. That's all right.
I gotta be stuff. Some gear stuff.
Bob, if you ever come down to visit him, or when you come down to write, the invitation is here. I'll come to his house. We'll have a guitar spa day too, even though you probably don't want your guitar to have a spa day.
Crazy.
I don't know if we want to know. Was there a crazy party at Ann's?
Yeah. Well, I have to say, when Bob and Ross would come down to Ann's, usually on the weekends, that's when I was like behaving when they were there. If they weren't there, then it was just like, full on.
Yeah.
I was like good around Bob and Ross because, they didn't really party or anything. So we would just geek out about music and, so I wasn't so concerned about drinking as much.
So you all are.
I was full on with this crazy party.
So you are the full on one and they weren't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I'm just stereotyping now. I'm thinking metal band, you all had to be partiers in the day.
If any of my old friends know, they know my history, and I haven't touched any alcohol or drugs in years, 22 years. So,
right.
But there was a time, trust me. So.
And I get, not to get on that subject, but I got to tell you, I would absolutely smoke me some weed, and I'm saying it on the internet, if it didn't stink.
Yeah, I have CBD.
Oh
that's my drug, CBD. I take CBD for pain, and that's my
dude. I was out today in a place, and a guy sat next to me. I was like, holy shit. Like, I can't even have the thought enter. I mean, who wouldn't want to get a little buzz once in a while? But I just can't, because I couldn't do that smell. I drank back in the day.
You got to take the gummies,
Yeah, maybe I'll have to do the right. That's right. Yep.
Now the drug gear locker.
Medicinal purposes only. Oh, wait, he said he was a witness to that.
Yeah, he was, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, I told you, so I'm scrolling through TikTok one day. It was actually last Saturday. I was kind of taking a break because I was swamped in here again. And scrolling through TikTok, just kind of vegging out after I ate my lunch. And a familiar face pops up that's live on TikTok. Jeremy Sosville, freaking ripping on a guitar, like playing everything. Well, almost people were, putting some pretty kooky songs out there, like play this, play that. That guy was ripping to, like, I think at one point there might have been 10,000 people watching him. It was I didn't even know he was on TikTok, but that dude can play.
I got to say, Jeremy's probably one of my, as far as like guitar player, like modern guitar players out there now. He's definitely a fave. I love his playing, man. Such a tasteful guitar.
Well, and it's not only that. You and I have talked, like, I feel like I've spoken in front of a lot of people before in my career, but I feel uncomfortable doing this. But that dude is so comfortable in front of people watching him play guitar, and he's talking and he's witty, and it was
Yeah.
funny and interesting. I think I watched it for hell, I must have watched it for a half hour. I finally said, "Man, I gotta roll it, get something done." But it
Yeah.
was funny. I had a lot of fun watching him. That dude is really good on the guitar. I mean, I knew that already, but geez, he was playing pretty much anything they threw at him. It was funny.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, I told you I wanted to talk about, man, I hope customers I never mention a customer's name, but the I bitch about the guitar industry, and I tell you, I had an example today. It's just so frustrating. It was a Charvel. It comes in. I just told you I had an issue. I didn't go into the details, so you can hear it first too. Brand
Mhm.
new Charvel, brand new, made in Mexico. Good guitar, nice guitar. Came in, and I mean you see sketchy fret work. It happens. But the frets, the ends were so sharp. It was unplayable. But still not that big of a deal. The weird thing was, all right, so this was one, and I think I've probably done this before one time when I
Shame
wasn't
on you,
paying.
Charvel.
Excuse me?
I said, shame on Charvel. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and they're usually really good, but I'm just bringing this up, not the bag on Charvel. It's just the guitar industry. Like, I don't. This may be the worst I've seen, and it was a beautiful. Like, if you look at it, it's a beautiful guitar, but when you play it, the E string was in the wrong place. They had the E where the G should be, the G where the so they put the strings on. Shit happens. Okay, so when you do the pickup configurations, it was wired incorrectly. So I look it up. I was like, there's no way. Like I started obsessing after we left because we looked at it and it was like, okay, if it's fret work, we'll do the fret work so you don't have to send it back and do a setup on it and all that kind of stuff. If you like the guitar, and he said he liked the guitar. So started looking at how the pickups were wired, opened it up and looked in there and you could tap on a pickup, tell which one's active. So position one on a five-way switch, and it was a five-way super switch, but position one should have been the bridge pickup. It was two humbuckers. And I think I'm trying to remember, it was like the full humbucker and half a full bridge humbucker and half of the neck. And then there was no after that, it was no rhyme or reason. That I don't think we ever did get the full humbucker on the neck. There was a mini toggle to go series and parallel. I don't know who the hell wired that, but I think they either had a bad day or their eyes were closed. But it's just this goes down. I talk about it almost every week, but last week we talked with Adam about some of the quality control. I this was pretty bad. This was
How
right
did
up.
that even get through? Like, how did that even pass?
I don't
Like,
know. I don't know. But to make matters worse, so we mentioned Sweetwater as I mean, we didn't do this purposely, but Sweetwater is pretty decent to work with. I've had customers come in and maybe a nut slot is cut too deeply or whatever. And they'll reach out to Sweetwater and they're like, hey, just have your repair center do it, send us the receipt, then we'll make it good. But this one was bought at Guitar Center and I will bag on them a little bit because of this. Um,
mhm.
he kind of reached out to them and, it seemed like this, and I don't know because I wasn't there, but it seemed like, well, you can either send it back or you can, our tech may or may not be a Charvel dealer or certified, tech. So I think what they were getting at is they would want to get reimbursed for the repair from Charvel, which seems like that's what they were trying to do, where it's like, well, instead of just eating, whatever, like you're just talking about rewiring a couple wires, probably. or even if you have to rewire the entire super switch, who cares? Eat that. You're paying the guy to be there anyways, the technician. Ours here has a technician. Do it and get it back out, get the customer happy. But instead, they're going to get a guitar back. It's just odd. That was I think that was one of the most odd I've seen in a long time. That, I mean, where you just feel like, well, I could live with this. I could get it fixed. I can get it fixed. But then when it's just ass backwards, not even near in the ballpark of where it should be. And
Yeah.
it's exactly like another guitar. We had them sitting here doing AB on it and nowhere near, not even in the neighborhood. So it's just really weird. I told you I wanted to talk about that. I like to bring those up because, man, hopefully someday, we get a few people that watch these. Maybe one day somebody from one of these guitar makers are gonna watch me piss and moan about this and just do better. Like I
Yeah.
like Charvels a lot. I
Mhm.
told you my favorite guitar is a '87 Charvel Jackson. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and I don't have one, but it comes in here a lot, and I like it when it gets here and play it. Maybe. It's a friend of mine also. So it's not like I don't like Charvels, and some newer USA ones have come through. They've been good. This one, the other one he had was good. It's just odd. You just think they would do better. You do
Yeah.
better, and especially if it's a younger player playing that, you keep them hooked. You hook them with a good
Yeah.
product, and they buy
Mhm.
more. They play more. We get better music. Everybody wins.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
odd. That was my oddity
Yeah.
for the week. I've had
I
some
mean,
good
it's
stars in this week though, but that was bad.
yeah. I mean, it's like, it's not unusual when you find like one little thing that needs a little adjustment or some fret work a little bit or something like
Right,
that. But
right,
to have that many issues, you know,
right.
I mean, it's like to bring up Sweetwater, you're not going to get something like those guys take a look at those instruments, before they
Yeah,
send out. I think they set up the guitars and so you want to have some integrity, and it doesn't say a lot about Guitar Center,
right,
really. I mean,
right.
you know, I my experience with like a Guitar Center, is like that's like a place that most people know. Like, well, if you're going to take your guitar to get worked on and get a setup, don't take it to a place like that.
Right,
Because
right,
there is a reputation that's not good.
right, right.
From that,
Well, and I think that, that's what we talked about last week, where that's the difference between going to a big box store and dropping your guitar off or buying a guitar or whatever and coming out and the guy that's bringing in Snakebite tomorrow, we're just working on things together because he plays out in a band and we're and I do this a lot. You adjust the guitar for the playing style. I don't necessarily know that you're going to get that at the big box store. Not saying that I'm doing everything right, but I think all smaller boutique-ish shops, local shops try to do this because we're basically dealing with our neighbors, and come
yeah.
by, egg your friggin' house.
Mhm.
Hold on, I'll catch 'em. That's why he only buys ESP LTD Arrows. Yeah, and I gotta tell you, man, the last couple that Alex has brought in have been really solid. Um, Wait a minute, they all
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah.
I so I think I shot those up there too fast. I only buy ESP Arrows. They all suck. I think he was talking about the other guitars.
Yeah.
I just shot them up there too fast. Yeah, and I think we've talked one week we were talking about your LTDs. Um, so it's odd. So when we talk about I don't want to be accused of making it sound like, oh my God, Roger makes it sound like every guitar needs a fret level, and he has to rescue the guitar. But there are sometimes like I had one that came in. It was actually Joe. We talked about his guitar. I did
Oh,
that. But Joe
oh,
that
okay.
was on 2 weeks ago, he brought the guitar by. We did the lace system that we were talking about, but his other guitar, um, he was having a problem, and when you're talking about, like, minute measurements, in a fret being just minutely high, so he was doing, like, on the E string, doing, like, a 2.5 step bend and super low action, so when he would do that bend, it would choke out, and he would lose the note, so, he and I worked together and got that working, and, we did some stuff with the frets to make him to where he would be able to do that kinda stuff. Um, so, yeah, I don't know, it's just weird to see some of these guitars come through like that, but you and I talked about, we and one day, when I can get the video up, people will see us working on one of your Vs, and, you asked if it was normal, because I said, "Man, that" back to the LTD arrows, and I was like, "Wow, there were no high frets at all," and you said, "Is that normal?" And then we watched my wife come in to do the paperwork, and I told her there were no high frets, and she was like, "Wow." Like, even
Yeah,
she knew, and she doesn't play guitar at all, she just does my paperwork, but she
yeah,
knows
yeah,
what we do because we document, anything we do to the guitar and anything that we find, high frets or whatever.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so, yeah.
those
Guitar Center, yep, they all suck. They
yeah,
use
that's
We used to
Joe,
be
not
pretty
John,
lucky.
the other John. That's actually Joe Young talking.
Yeah,
To embarrass
um,
you, Joe. Just revealed your name. So,
yeah, I think he said it earlier. We were
oh,
just
because I think they were both talking to each other. John Burke was
Yeah,
saying hi. He was saying hi,
yeah,
John, meaning John Litchko, but I think
yeah.
John is that is Joe. I
Oh,
grew up.
gotcha.
So, a great
So,
guitar, you know.
yeah, so
But
the last thing, not to bitch anymore, I agree with you on Guitar Center. Ours used to be pretty decent. We used to have a good guitar tech there. He, passed away, unfortunately, so we just the guy there now seems pretty decent, but what about useless equipment that's made too? Like, I've heard guys have wrote we talked about that a couple weeks.
yeah, they're
It's
a fail.
what
I
did
don't
you
know.
say?
Yeah, I remember those with the Gibsons. I don't think they're making them anymore, though. I don't know.
They're
Are they?
No, 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 they stopped.
Yeah,
I
terrible.
think they learned their lesson on that one.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
came out that was probably one of those where somebody came up with that, and they sat in a boardroom, and it was probably a bunch of management people that didn't play guitar, and they were like, "That's a really good idea."
yeah,
I've
yeah,
been in
yeah.
rooms like that before.
Well, it's like the guys that make effects too, but I'm surprised at how they do that. I know
Right.
the guys that make effects, like, they don't even play an instrument, They're just,
Right. Well, and
but,
there's a
you
couple
know
things that drive me nuts along that line, and this is just me. I'm sure I know that there's people like it because I said something about it one time and a guy actually liked it. So there's also like the Fender traditional pros. You could get different voicings and different sounds by going in, and the internal circuitry had dip switches in it. So,
yeah,
and I was like, "Oh my god, what just happened to wires and pots?" And
yeah,
that was
yeah, yeah,
throwing dip switches, and then I opened up and this has happened, a a Gibson Les Paul with a PC board in it, I'm like, "What the hell?
well,
What
it's
happened?"
kinda like, you know, the thing in I guess, like, by the time, like, the early '90s came around, it was, like, guitar processors, and I really got into that whole thing, and, it's just all this digital stuff, and, eventually, I just wound up going back to normal straight into the amp,
Yeah,
tube amp,
yep,
and, maybe a couple pedals here and there, but, for certain things, but, yeah, it's just, it doesn't beat, analog, like something that's real, it's just like
right,
we talked about it with Adam or maybe, Jeremy or somebody, but,
yeah.
it's just nothing like feeling the power too
Yeah,
of
hitting you in the face, that's right.
and just the tone, everything,
Yeah,
with digital, it's just like, I don't know, I mean, there's definitely some really cool stuff, and I've
yeah,
owned, like, even like we are talking about Fender, I used to own a, was called a Fender Cyber Twin,
Uh-huh.
and it had some of the most amazing effects on this thing. But it was, a solid state amp with
Yeah.
those digital effects, but the effects were just ridiculous.
Right.
But it's, if you line it up to, a really, quality tube amplifier or something, it's you're
Right.
not getting that kind of I'm trying to think of a word, but that sound that
The
it, it,
punchiness.
it's yeah, it just doesn't sound like it sounds alive,
Yeah.
and with something like that, it's just something that's there you go, processed sounding,
Right.
and
Well, and I don't know why, like you mentioned effects and the fractals and a helix and solid state amps and all that. I don't know why in my head, I don't mind all the electronics in that. It's okay.
Mhm.
And has its place. But when you have a Fender with dip switches in it, or take this little PC board out and slide it in there for this sound, it just loses me. It
Yeah,
loses
yeah.
me, and I don't know why when it's on a guitar, it's a totally different thing.
It's
And there
just
are
like
sometimes
for me, like if you have a good quality tube amplifier with it's got decent gain on there,
yeah,
and you put in a distortion pedal in between that,
yeah,
it takes away from the tone. It's just like, because I'm not a fan whatsoever of like I used to use a distortion pedal
right,
30 something years ago, but
right,
I stopped using distortion pedals, and as
right,
far as I'm concerned, it's just like it's a mess. It's like maybe a tube screamer or something can work,
right,
and you can dial in a little bit easier, it can help out. But like if you got like some high gain,
right,
you know, metal zone or something like that,
yeah,
it's just it takes away from the tone and gets in the way of everything. And
mhm,
I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's like it's just still your hands,
yeah,
and attack to the instrument and a good head and a decent
right,
quality piece of wood
right,
guitar that resonates properly, and there you go. Because you get all that shit, it's just more noise piled on to,
right,
that it's just not going to come across
yeah,
strong. Or,
yeah.
you know,
Well,
so
my last on my list, my last thing is I thought it was interesting. I got a back. Well, let me handle this first. Got a backup amp, an Orange Crush one. Oh, that's got to be awesome. I love Orange
yeah,
amp.
it's a
Yeah,
good hand.
yeah, they sound so good. I I say it a lot. I don't know how many OR-15s I've sold by just people trying mine out here. They plug into that. Although that old Blues Junior I have, I've been messing with that here lately, and the reverb is screwed up, so I've been kind of messing with it. But man, that thing sounds really good.
Yeah,
Blues
yeah.
Junior. Yeah, and
Mm.
I think it's 2005. That's a cool amp too. Um, let's see. Yeah, solid sound. Yeah, good amp.
Cool.
All right, so I was watching. Something came up in my feed about the tariffs and how they're going to affect the guitar market. If they
Mm.
even come into reality. And I don't know. I think I had to think of it for myself. I was like, hell, I never really thought about it. But in the repair business, I try as hard as I can to use American made products as much as I can. I'm sure maybe there's distributors that I'm getting things from, maybe pickup covers. I don't know where they're made when I'm buying them from a distributor in Philadelphia. But with pots, I'm sure there's a overseas component to that. When I try to stick with Borns or CTS,
Mhm.
and Borns or Costa Rica, something like that. But I think where it's gonna affect the guitars is more with the Mexican and the Chinese made, not necessarily the Indonesian, and Korean made. I could be totally wrong, but it seems to me like it's just saber rattling anyways, but I started thinking about it because I had to worry about, like, I had a hard time getting potentiometers and, winding pickups. I had a hard time getting, magnets, pickup magnets during the pandemic. So I started
Mhm.
planning out like, holy shit, if all this is gonna start going up, I keep a pretty healthy stock of it, but I may wanna stock up before it gets nutty. But the prices got nutty on potentiometers during COVID. Um,
Mhm.
and I think, when I started researching it, there was a guy with a video talking about tariffs 6 years ago and how it was gonna drive up the prices of guitars and components and all that, and kinda didn't. COVID did, and demand
COVID,
did,
yeah.
but it wasn't a tariff. So I don't know. I'm gonna be curious to see how it plays out, or if they even, I doubt if they
I
even
I mean,
become a
I guess
reality.
yeah, like the whole point is to bring everything back in the States, making quality stuff. But what we got to do is make quality stuff because we sit here and complain about companies like Gibson and stuff and their prices too. And but why don't they get back to making some quality instruments? And then they
Right,
have these insane price tags,
right.
on top of it. And to bring up, like you mentioned, Korea in there, and I've talked about this before. Like we talked about LTDs, so a lot of the higher end LTDs are either made in Korea or Indonesia.
Right.
And I found that Korea is really making some really great
Mhm,
guitars.
mhm.
So I would hope it doesn't affect, guitars like that. China, I don't know, junk.
Yeah,
So um, Mexico, I mean, I think Mexico has made some good stuff. I
yep,
know like they make
yep,
some Fender, they make Charvel and stuff like that down there.
right.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I mean I would hope not, I don't know what the
Right.
answer is. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But,
Yeah,
I get the idea of it. You listen in Gibson,
yeah,
and, I just want to make it clear too when I sit here and say negative things about like Gibson or some like I want Gibson to make good guitars.
yeah.
I mean, most people that know me, I love ESP guitars. They're my favorite guitars. But
Mhm.
I want to see Gibson make good guitars. I love Gibson. I love
Yeah,
Fender. I love those companies. I love Gretsch. These
yeah.
companies that have been around a long time. That made electric guitar what it is. But um, yeah, but
Yeah.
start making some quality instruments again, and without a $10,000 price tag on it.
Right,
Where it's like there's no reason why you should buy, say, a guitar that's $4,000 and get a guitar that's an LTD that's like, say, 1,500, and the
right.
$1,500 guitar is made better, and it's got good QC and stuff like that.
Well, but some of the difference in that is when we're getting them from over there, the reason they're being made over there is the labor's so cheap.
Right,
But I
right,
don't think, and I wouldn't realize this if I didn't do what I do. There's, we've heard a lot, and I didn't really go a lot into like researching tariffs and all that. I remember from being in school talking about tariffs.
yeah,
Um, but I've watched a little bit of news and I've read a little bit about it. But you know what? There are things that I've discovered since I've been doing this business. Like, it's expensive to get things from anywhere else in the country into this country. And I don't well, I'll talk about it because
oh,
I
I mean,
love I the
there's a whole
Vega Trims.
well,
So
there's like I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I
Um,
think that Vega Trem is probably my favorite bridge, that type of bridge.
right,
I really like them. I like the company. And I became a dealer for them. And the problem is when you go to resell them, and of course, I'm a pretty small business, so I can't deal in high volumes when you're talking about, a pretty expensive piece of equipment there. So, when you're dealing with smaller qualities or quantities, the prices were higher. But I had a hard time selling them, especially locally, because people look at, Vega, I mean, at the time they were, and they're probably still the same for a chrome, and I think they call it a shiny. It was 259. And I would constantly have customers say, well, like, oh my God, well, why is it so expensive? If you look at Reverb, if they're brand new, they're all the same price because you have to go by MAP, the minimum advertised price. But the problem is, Cheech said, well, Cheech, I'm going to tell you why. They're not cheap. And they're really, I would say, if we were in Spain, they're $150, right? But here's what I didn't realize. So I made an order. I shouldn't tell this because it's going to make me sound like a dumbass. So I liked them so much. I called them over here. They were at NAMM. I talked to them. They were really good people. They are really good people, and it's a really good bridge. But I had to pay an import fee, a tariff, a tax. Every time I turned around, somebody was calling me customs. It seemed like somebody was in my pocket the entire time. So by the time they get here, just to get them, like it's $159 bridge probably, but it's $100 extra just to get them here. So we're already paying that stuff to get them in here. I know everybody's freaked about how much it's going to make guitars cost, how much it's going to make. We're already paying that shit now. We just don't realize it. I didn't realize it.
Well, from my understanding, in Europe, and this has been going on since DOT, I think, is for them to get a American-made instrument like a Gibson or a Fender or Jackson, Charvel, like the USA ones. I hear to this day, I hear it's super expensive, for them to get those guitars over in Europe throughout Europe. Like this has been going on for 40 years,
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't know what the
I don't know if there's an answer.
What's that?
I don't know if there's an answer or a solution. I mean, there's people that are a half an hour north of us that can't figure shit out. So I don't think we're going to figure it out about guitars.
But it's like friends of mine that are European, they've told me this for the longest time. They're like, to get one of those guitars, oh my God, it's just so damn expensive. And, and it's like they're paying like double,
Oh, yeah, for them to get an American guitar over there. Yeah, because it's the same in reverse.
And that's been going on forever,
I got to tell you, it's like I said, as dumb as it sounds for me, I had no clue. When they got over here, I paid tariffs are meant to protect the local manufacturer. Nobody local is competing with the offshore manufacturers. And definitely.
I'm all for it. Like I said, and I was when I spoke of Gibson, it's like I want them to make some quality guitars, and but there's a reason why people complain about Gibson for many years now, that they are just there's I don't even know what the excuse is for them to just put out a shitty instrument, and that's not worth, and like I said, I want, of course I want our country to live,
It would be nice to see. It would be nice to see, like, we all come back and we like buying American-made guitars. I hear that from everybody in here. Is it a USA? When you're selling something, first thing they ask you is it a USA?
And that's supposed to mean something when you say made in the USA, I mean, it's with Japan now too. And they say made in Japan. That means you're getting a quality instrument,
Yeah. And I mean, some of this, you kind of get into opinions, and opinions are like assholes, we know. But since I am an asshole, I'll give my opinion. These companies, we're talking about Gibson. I like PRS a lot. The company PRS. I like the guitars too, but in ESP, there's a reason why they all go over there, because the labor is cheaper and they can make a cheaper product, and they can come back here and sell it cheaper. So I think the whole thing is make a better product and make it more affordable. And that's where, hey, look at Kiesel. I mean, Kiesel's starting to get a little expensive. They're making, I mean, almost custom shop level stuff and not custom shop level prices. But
Kiesel is, did the guy buy out Carvin or something?
it's his son, Kiesel
Something like
Carvin.
that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I see.
Yeah.
So it's the same, in a sense,
Same
almost the
company.
same
Yep.
company.
Yeah, I mean, if you see them advertised, there's Carvins. I've had some real nice. There's a Carvin bass that comes in here that's beautiful.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Carvin, then Carvin Kiesel, and now it's pretty much Kiesel that you see.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, there's got to be a way to get the prices to where they're more affordable, or make a more affordable line
Mhm.
in the United States without having to worry about that. And I think that's kind of what they're trying to do with the tariffs, is to bring that stuff back home. But I mean,
Sure.
we have good companies that, like I said, I go out of my way to try to buy American. Stringjoy, good American companies. Most of the string companies, good American companies.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And there's some great guitar companies too, like Sure, what's it? Sure.
Yep,
That's a good
sir.
one.
Yep.
Tom Anderson, right?
Tom
Anderson.
Anderson, Nag, PRS.
And they're all,
Yeah.
but those guitars, from what I understand, they're strictly made to order. They're not,
Right.
they don't make, like, they don't outsource to some other
Right.
country, right? They're
Right.
just US
Right.
made.
And you pay for that. It's like have you heard of Nags? Nags
Who is it?
Guitars? KNAGGS?
No,
Maryland.
I'm thinking about.
It well, I think I may be totally wrong, but I'm pretty sure he worked at PRS. He makes beautiful guitars, but when you're special ordering a guitar and they're made, by hand, completely by hand, you're gonna pay for it. We have another. It's been that way since after 2000 Gibson started. Yep, you're right. Although my 2005 is pretty good, but man, once you got past definitely 2010, the 2015,
Yeah,
don't even
yeah,
talk
you're
about
right.
it.
You're right, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, hopefully they'll get it all together. But that's something that, somebody has a repair shop. That's something I have my eyes on.
Well, I
mean,
like I had the last Gibson that I got was a SG. It was the second SG that I got, and I think this one was made in '99. And man, great guitar, super solid. Probably one of the best, like as far as staying in tune as well. Like the neck, everything. It was just flawless, a guitar.
right.
So yeah, I mean, I think after maybe early 2000s or something. I don't know what I've heard different stories. Some people like, oh, 2004 or 2010, or,
Right.
where they say where's like the cutoff, where
Yeah.
they were really making really good guitars. Even Paul Stanley, I saw that, where Gibson does like you show off the guitar collection or whatever, from different artists. So Paul Stanley was on recently, and a couple of his favorite guitars. He wasn't bringing out all these like vintage Gibsons. He had some Les Pauls that were made in the early '90s, and that he said were like the best guitars that that Gibson made. I think there were like 94 Les Pauls,
Yeah.
and he even said too, like in the interview about like buying a vintage guitar. He goes, it doesn't mean it's good, like.
Yeah.
And he's like, why make that investment in something that's just going to sit around that I'm not going to play? And,
Right.
I want something quality. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
old too,
Yeah.
to be great, But where I'm getting at is I think he was insinuating that, you guys were making great guitars in the '90s,
Yeah.
and the best that they made.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and this is something that that was his Mark Agnesi,
mm,
the guy that kind of goes after everybody. I'm sure he's not sitting down watching the Guitar Gear Locker, watching us pitch. but it would be nice to just sit down and have a chat with him one day and just pick his
Well,
brain.
I, you know, I used to watch him on, was it Norms? He used to do the
Uh-huh.
guitar, um,
Yeah. I
playthroughs,
know
different.
everybody hates him, but I think he looks like a pretty cool dude.
I don't, I mean, my opinion of him is he is very enthusiastic about Gibson.
Yep.
I can respect that. And,
Yeah.
you know, he really seems like he knows his shit, and he's a nerd, he's really all about it, like us, it's like, you know, it's not just about, when I see a guitar or something like
Yeah.
Adam was saying in the interview, like, oh, check it, see what I got, and
Yeah.
it's that kind of thing, and there's something magical about it,
Yeah.
like when I see the guitar, any guitar, I just kind of light up, like,
Right.
oh, there it is. There's that magical wand,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I really look at, they are magical instruments. They
Right.
are wands that you're casting a spell and you're creating something, and
Well, and I know people that have a lot of guitars that don't play. They consider them artwork, and they are.
and they are pieces of
Yeah.
art, no doubt
Yeah.
about it. But for me, they are tools as much as,
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
I play, like, people say, "Oh, you play all those guitars?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do actually."
Yeah.
You get bored of one, and you're looking for some inspiration, and you pick up that one you haven't played in a long time, and
Right.
then the magic starts happening. So
Right.
yeah, but
Yeah, I don't know. I think they'll get it figured out. Hopefully it'll make everybody work better. But
yeah, I
like I
mean,
said, I've just been kind of, from a business perspective, trying to get ramped up for that. But that's, you know, here's a good thing. Like, it's going to sound like blasphemy, but it's not like you need a guitar to live. So worst case scenario, you just don't buy a guitar if they jack the prices way back up until everybody figures out, what the proper, salaries are for the people making them and
yeah,
what the price point is for the people to buy them. Like all that has to come together. I just, like I did during the pandemic, I try to, like, when you see things coming, it's like, I know I'm going to need potentiometers. I keep mentioning that because they were hard to get during the
mhm,
pandemic. But switches and those kinds of things, I try to keep those, and I try to keep the ones. I don't know if it would affect the ones that I get because, like I said, I try to make sure I'm getting things from inside of the United States. But, there's gonna be other ways that they'll probably, thinking of guitars, there's gonna be components that are made in China inevitably that are assembled while they're building the guitar in Korea. So maybe it won't affect the price of most guitars, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Maybe the ones coming out of China, you say you don't like this anyways. You're
Let's
like,
see what happens. We're,
"Good
we're
riddance, good
Next
riddance."
year's around the corner.
Yeah. Man, I think, yeah, I always, I don't know why, but I always kinda have faith that there's enough balance in the country that everybody kinda figures shit out, and, like I said, I found it made me feel better, the first video, everything's clickbait, and it's like, "How are the tariffs? The tariffs are gonna do this to the guitar industry," and then I was like, "Hold on, let me look at this because I might need to start stocking up," and then when I found a 6-year-old video saying the same thing, I was like, "Alright, well, it didn't happen," so,
Yeah,
they have gone up, but that was probably more pandemic related.
yeah,
So,
yeah. We'll see what happens.
we'll see. Somebody figure it out, but that man, you know what? When we were talking before we went live, we were like, "Well, we don't have that much to talk about." Hour and 48 minutes.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Oh
take me
yeah,
13 hours to make chapters on this.
well, just before we end the night, so we're working on it. We do have a few guests lined up. It's just the holidays. Everybody's scheduled. It's trying to figure out stuff. So
Right,
hopefully I get my friend Josh from Cattle Decapitation on soon. He's got a
right.
tour coming up around the corner, so hopefully we can fit that in and even with my schedule. And we do have some other really cool ones lined up too, which I'm not going to reveal any of them as well yet. So yeah. Anything
We
else?
have some bands that are starting to reach out that have record releases coming up. One was going to be on tonight, but unfortunately he has the flu, so we're trying to coordinate with him. A lot of cool people.
Email us if you're interested in coming on or whatever. So.
Yeah, and you know, and we want to keep up with the roundtables also. I know we talk about this a lot. You know, Adam said he's willing to do that. He loves that idea. Pete has said he would be on. We could get Jeremy's always game, it seems, and he's always awesome to have one. Jeremy gives out really good, solid advice too. Great to listen. Good guy. So a lot of cool stuff coming up. I think we're going to try to do another one next week, right? Or you're going to be out of town, so
yeah, I think so. Well, even if I'm out of town, we can do it.
Yeah, we'll post it up on the Facebook site. Maybe we'll have a post Christmas and talk about what we all got from Santa.
Yeah,
but
sounds good.
We appreciate if nobody else has anything. Everybody have a good Christmas. Enjoy your families.
Yep. Merry everybody in your happy holidays, and
enjoy a couple days of unplugging, and and then we'll get down to paying the bills after the first of the year. There you go. Everybody have a good Christmas. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.